Before we get into our opening meditation and setting the tone of our consciousness so that we can receive from the universal mind the great truth regarding miracles and regarding manifestation, I'd like just to talk a little bit about what miracles are, so we're clear on the definition. Okay, miracles classically, transcend any form or condition. So they are inherently 100% transformative. In other words, when you've experienced a miracle, you will experience the fullness of the divine idea that is resident, inherent in your condition. And the miracle is the realization of the perfect divine idea for that condition brought forth, okay? Miracles are wonderful. As we all know, we've all experienced many of them, okay? They're wonderful because they speak to us of the boundlessness of infinite life, the unstoppableness of infinite life, the glory of infinite life. They are free-flowing, and they are the absolute fulfillment of divine potential. In other words, when you have a miracle, don't you feel that the whole thing has been released for you? That the whole good has been released in some kind of mysterious way into your hands, and you have a sense that life flows. Life happens, and in the moment of the miracle, life has found its way through you to the demonstration. So we're very renewed by miracles because we have, again, a cosmic sense. Our cosmic sense is restored of the way things really are. Miracles are very often unprecedented. In other words, there doesn't need to have been any previous experience whatsoever in this area to have a miracle. And if you had a build-up of previous experience, then you wouldn't be calling it a miracle. You'd be calling it average, normal, everyday, or something that I'm accustomed to. They are also spontaneous in the fact that the universe works in a very spontaneous way. We in our way do what we can to assist the whatever that we desire to happen. But in actual fact, when manifestations happen, they are spontaneous. We may be working in some area, putting our attention, our energy, doing the best we can to help a thing evolve, and then suddenly it's going to manifest from somewhere over there. So we always have to keep in mind that the universe is a spontaneous instrument, and it always seeks to satisfy us by finding the open door. Okay, the open door. That means where the energy can make contact and flow through harmoniously and without resistance. There is always a breakthrough present in miracles of some shell of limitation that you have been encumbered in. And through the miracle, you get the greater realization of divine truth. So it seems to appear instantaneously, but the truth is that there is some type of build-up on the unconscious levels of acceptance, and your receiving point has been attuned and harmonized at the level where it can flip over into manifestation. So miracles you have primed the stage in some way, consciously or unconsciously, to be able to receive of the greater. And then the thing happens, and it seems to happen coincidentally, and we say, I just had a miracle, right? But no mistake, you're responsible for your own miracle. Your consciousness is the one that paves the way for the miracle, and we're going to be talking about many angles of how you can do this today. So I was talking to a woman on the phone, and she said, oh, you mean, when I went to Australia and I had no place to stay and I didn't know where I was going to stay, but my faith was on high, and I met a man on the plane and we were drawn together by affinity and we started talking and he told me of a place and it was wonderful. I said, that's what I'm talking about. It's 100% linkage to the flow and activity of your source. And then she said, and you mean when I was thinking of someone, and then I got on a subway, and there they were, and I hadn't seen that person for 5 years, and I said, that's right. That's what I mean. It is the symbol of your flowingness and your connectedness to your source, which knows no bounds and which responds to you. There was a woman who was seriously overweight. In other words, her beautiful self, her God self, was all encumbered by the weight. And she had been, this was on television, and I looked at this and I said, this is really wonderful. This is so wonderful because this is the truth of being. This woman was, her father ran beauty pageants, okay? And as a little girl, she felt unworthy. He was kind of severe. And he had the habit of dragging her around to the pageants and looking at all the other beautiful women. And so in her feeling of unworthiness and feeling how could that possibly be me, she had encumbered herself with a lot of weight, and her beauty was not radiating. Okay, the divine idea of her was not radiating. And through the process of her life, she got into drugs and, into the stories, that each and every one of us has experienced in some way or another. And she came to the final point where she was just so far down there that was the turning point. That was the crisis, all right? She'd gone as far out as she could in her resistance of the truth about herself and her anger toward her father or fear or whatever. And she approached her mother, I believe it was, and she said, I need your help. And she said, okay, I'm going to help you if you will if you will follow everything that I say, and you will do everything that I say, and you will get rid of all your negative friends who are into drug use and all this, and you will follow the pattern, I will help you. Now, this woman just last week won, the beauty pageant for Mother of the Year. She's extraordinarily beautiful. It is like, looking at another being. And her work now, of course, is helping, the work that she does is emancipating others, helping others to emancipate from their difficulties. Usually we can see a glimmer of something of the other person in, the new form, right? But there wasn't a glimmer. And she was more stunningly beautiful in a natural beauty, physical beauty of form, and a natural radiation, which was the radiation of her consciousness. So everybody was saying in the news, this is a miracle. What a miracle! What a miracle! And I said to myself, what do you mean? This is this woman's commitment and decision. And she just decided to bring out the divine idea about herself, which was always there, to throw over the lesser. And it took a crisis to do it, to drive her so far in her own willfulness, let's say. Like sometimes a miracle follows a crisis. And why is this? Because the miracle is the seed in the God atom of your idea. The God atom is where your miracle is. And when we're in our humanness and we're willing and we're forcing, we're trying to figure it out. I'm sure everybody knows this, trying to control that, that manifestation. The God energy, the free-flowing energy, which is the answer, cannot flow. You can see how it's encumbered. So when we meet up with a crisis, realize, if you ever have to use this means to get to your miracle, realize that you're on your way to a miracle. And you're only utilizing this crisis so that you can get out of your fixity. When we get to the point we say, there's nothing I can do. I've had it. I've done everything I can do. Realize that it's the very moment that you are making the God space for the God atom, the reality of your being, your divinity, to operate. Do you understand what I'm saying? So never think a crisis, and I know many of you know what I'm talking about, has come to devastate you. It has come to lift you to a higher dimension of knowing, where you have no other recourse left but to say, God, help me. And very often that's the moment in that pure essence when all that energy is released that the miracle appears. All right? So miracles to me, or instant manifestation, which is a miracle, what we classify as miracles, are evidence of the presence of God. That invisible essence which is always producing everything for us. But they are stunning evidence of that presence because we cannot find them in our rational minds. We cannot find them in our restrictive behavior, in our limitations. We can only find them when we are cosmically attuned, however we get there, through, enforced crisis to finally let go, or through conscious alignment, all right? So, in this evidence of God, which is a miracle manifestation, there is also resonant the tremendous force of unification, where our beingness is unified with the divine presence, the great I am within us, and the oneness, and we have a sense of connectedness to all, to each and everything that we live in. Don't we feel that when we've had a miracle? I'm one with all that is. I am one with all that is. There's a sense of beauty and boundlessness with that, okay? So try to get that, cultivate that consciousness before, and you won't need the crises to arrive there at the great truth of your being. They all often involve synchrony and serendipity. Synchrony meaning like, gee, I was just thinking of that person and here they are. Or serendipity is when you're looking for one good, you're out on your adventure looking for your gold mine of good in one area with an open heart, and then suddenly something else that you've been desiring shows up in your path. See, that's that spontaneous element, and that's called serendipity. So it is definite evidence of the presence and invisible force of God as your manifesting power, your providing power. So you can imagine, if we are very worried, if we are very encumbered, we are blocked to experiencing that free-flowing force of miracles, miracle manifestations. We must have a sense of the sublime, however, of the mystery and the wonder, the supreme wonder beyond knowing of all creation. Creation where we are, and that creative power that manifested worlds. All right, so what I'd like to do now, with some idea of what we classify as miracles, which realize also miracles are the natural way that it is meant to be. That which we call miracles are simply the law of creation working without any obstruction from our side. Okay, so this is your natural God-given state and the way that it's meant to be. So knowing this, regardless of where you are, you can set your sights to know that regardless of whatever, that you are going to come to realize that this is the way it is meant to be, not a sometime thing. Okay? Anything less is subnormal to a divine being. It's subnormal. So there's no supernormal, no supernatural, right? Anything less is subnormal, all right? So what I'd like to do is just to have a meditation to tune our mind and get ready for the work we're going to do, okay? So let us go within to the sacred place of the Most High and the true, the everness and the allness, that which is. And let us become sublimely still and aware in our perfect God center, knowing that we have left all worries, all cares, all burdens, and all thought-taking right outside. Each one of us now, if we have forgotten to leave something outside, we go in spirit and release it and let it fall. And come back to where we are ready to receive of greater ideas than ever before. Now remember, as Jesus said, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So after each one has deposited all their cares, let us enter the new, fresh, clear, ready. There is an imaginary golden elevator of spirit, and we are gathered around it. Now we quietly step together onto the beautiful golden elevator of truth. And we are going now to the uppermost floor of understanding, to realize and view the full potential of our being in the highest place. We have arrived in an instant, and now we open the door, and there before us is a magnificent new city of miracles. We enter the hushed gates and look around. And as we look around, we see the great atmosphere and teeming consciousness of peace, joy, love, and faith that abound. Here is the place where miracles are the norm, and the greatness of creation flows free and magnificently. People in this dimension are wise and evolved. Here in this dimension, we notice there is no laboring. There is only thought flowing successfully, and the entire collective consciousness is unified in harmony and truth. All manifestation, we notice, is instant and carefree. And God is recognized by each and all, and heralded as the one and only source, and all that is ever necessary for the accomplishment of any great thing, for perfect demonstration. Here in this hallowed high place, creative processes are revered, are deeply understood, honored, are used only for the highest and noblest visions and intentions of good. As we watch the flow around us in this city, no one seems to be concerned or competitive or controlling another. All have their minds serene in the worship of the truth. And the great diamond walls of this city keep out and repel the profane, the unbelieving, the unknowing, and only those of faith and love of the divine spirit may enter. Here we notice, as we look out over the sea of persons, there is no status, no achievement, no history whatsoever that counts with any being, that makes any being more than another. Only faith and knowing and reverence count for the manifestation. And everything moves at a gliding, accelerated pace. Streams of light flowing out. And there is no such a thing known as delay or obstruction. Only my God now, my good now, is known by each and all, and there is never a negative word spoken or entertained. It is not even known what it is. Here, in this territory indeed, thoughts are things. Thus thoughts are carefully chosen with wisdom and joy. Each one has their full, every moment, all the time, and each one is sublimely fulfilled and satisfied. Everyone seems to be involved in the art of embodying within, knowing how to embrace an idea, and each one knows how to expertly clothe their ideas with brilliance, beauty, imagination, creativity, abundance, eloquence, loftiest ideals, freedom, and joy. No one knows I can't. Frustration is unheard of, non-existent. Ideas of no's and impossibles have totally dissolved from consciousness and from the universal vocabulary. Each one seems to be able to create at will the most magnificent creations entire. Yet, at the same time, no one seems attached or clinging to any single creation, just simply rejoicing in the full utilization of the creative power and the expanse of the imagination. Creation is not an effort, it's simply an act of joy. So here's the dimension where people manifest at will and with ease. And each thought is filled with love. Each knows their own power and freedom and manifests what they require as they go along, in the moment they require it. There are no limitations. If you want to communicate with someone here, it is easily done with a pure thought. If you want to manifest, there is no resistance, and you do it and it takes place. There is no memory whatsoever of hardship or other worlds, only the pure joy of creation. So as we drink in of this infinite scene, which we know is our promise, we realize to have permanent residence at this level, we must have cleansed ourselves of all restrictive ideas of our ancestors, of history, and collective memories. For indeed, they have no place or power here. We must have only our good idea before us. And we must have faith in ourselves and the invisible with which we work. And we must know God is the thought substance and becomes the form of all things. God always manifests as the good I have named. And God alone is the only doer. We must know our good is dependent upon our conception of good alone, and our faith and trust that there's never a problem with availability of good in the kingdom. There is no shortage, no lack, no good reason to delay anymore, and we notice God, the force itself, is the only spontaneous doer in charge of matching our conceptions with the most perfect manifestations. And we are told and reminded that we must know our authority here and not doubt the authority of our choice, and our rights, and we must be emptied. Our minds must be emptied of I shouldn't, or it's too good to be true, or that's not possible. For that does not operate here in the world of instant manifestation. And as we look around, we see no one seems to be depending upon anything or anything. No one has any guilt, shame, blame, remorse. No one even seems to have resources in their very hands when they manifest. Yet, through the power of their idea, they can manifest all. How mysterious and wonderful it is. So, here in this place we remember manifestation is dependent on consciousness and the idea itself. And this is the key and the password. I have a great idea whose time has come. And it also seems, as we are slowly moving back to the elevator, that we notice that periodically people stop in brief and perfect contemplation of their idea to remind themselves of the good thing that they are manifesting. And look how they love their ideas intensely and clothe their ideas with bountiful love. And this very action instantly serves to atomize the idea and lower it into form. In an unbroken stream of connection, they swirl that love around their idea, and the idea gets brighter and brighter and more luminous, more and more vivid, and moves over into the manifest plane. So this is the power they use, we notice. This is the power we shall use, and it is all we need. Our loving an idea brings it through. We have the tool. Our staying with an idea brings it through. So having observed in great appreciation this beautiful dimension of miracles and wondrous life, let us withdraw now quietly back into the elevator, each one remembering what we have gained. And now, let us breathe and shoot down the elevator, returning, stepping out, and let us speak of what we have seen.